Hello, I'm Gator McKlusky, and this is the Burt Reynolds story. Chapter 5.
Well, Gator McKlusky is sitting on a stump with the hammer pulled back on the 12-gauge pump, watching that swamp, looking out for the law. Well, it makes the best horn that you ever saw.
I'm number one this year. Number one.
You know, and you're also voted.
I'm not even going to work next year. I'm just going to be put out to stud.
Are you going to?
In the late 70s, Burt's career was at an all-time high. Number one at the box office and perhaps the biggest star in the world, he was ready to try something a little different. See, Burt had his own horse ranch and even owned a nightclub, and in 1978, he started construction of his own theater.
I've always wanted to have a theater, all my life, ever since I started to be an actor.
I put $2 million of my own money into the project, which gave me a chance to give something back to my hometown.
They say that Thomas Wolfe said you can never go home again, but I think the theater's proved him wrong. I hope so.
Dedicated to his mother Fern, the Burt Reynolds Dinner Theater opened with a black tie gala party and a performance of Vanities starring Sally Field, Tyne Daly, and Gail Strickland on January 20th, 1979.
They come and they have their dinner and they get all gussied up and then they see a show.
There's got to be a better kind, I know it, and you know it too if you read some of these books.
And what we hope is that they get in the habit of seeing live performers and seeing the show.
The whole season sold out before the doors opened, and theatergoers were treated to a long history of some of Burt's famous friends in this small, intimate setting.
Except for the Palm Beach crowd, most people in the area had never even seen an actor live on stage before. But I bought in the theater Hollywood's best.
Some of the performers included Farrah Fawcett, Eartha Kitt, Kirstie Alley and Parker Stevenson, Annie Potts, Brian Keith, Sarah Jessica Parker and Judd Nelson, Charles Nelson Riley, Jim Neighbors, Catherine Bach, Julie Harris and Vincent Gardenia, and Charles Durning won the Florida Drama Award for Mass Appeal.
Over the next 15 years, until I sold the Playhouse, such actors as Carol Burnett, Martin Sheen would come down and, for very little pay, take the sort of chances they didn't get on film or TV.
It's a terrific thing to be able to have a place such as the Burt Reynolds Dinner Theater where you can go and you can stretch and you can do a different role, you can do something that you wouldn't ordinarily do. It's terrific. It's a terrific place to work.
They're playing our song there this summer, and I met his whole team. He's just a wonderful man and has wonderful people around him. You know, and knows how to treat actors, too.
Burt only appeared in 3 shows at the theater. The Rainmaker with Sally in 1979, same time next year with Carol Burnett in 1980, and Answers with Stockard Channing in 1982. Burt limited his acting performances at the theater as he felt people may be disappointed to show up and not see his Tonight Show persona.
I've been able to force my own personality into the work so that whoever likes that idiot on The Tonight Show will go see the film and not be disappointed. The drawback of that is if you don't like that guy on The Tonight Show, you're not going to go see the film. And the other drawback is that if you do like that guy and you go see a film where you don't give him that character from The Tonight Show. Like, for example, when I work in the theater, they don't come to see you act. They come to see that guy.
He preferred to direct or to teach at the theater.
Burt directed 7 shows, including One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest with Martin Sheen, along with his Cannonball Run co-star Adrienne Barbeau and Will Sampson. Running alongside the theater, he also opened the Burt Reynolds Institute for Theater Training for aspiring young actors to develop their craft and obtain on-the-job professional training.
He wanted to have a place where young people could come and study.
It's a tough, mean, rough, heartbreaking profession. And if they really want to go into it, they have to understand they're setting themselves up for rejection. And if they can take rejection every single day of their life until somebody says, okay, I'll take a chance on you, then this is the right business for them to be in.
The apprentice program was wonderful. He had young people coming from all over to apply, and they had to be able to sing, dance, and do a monologue.
Charles Nelson Riley directed a lot of shows at the theater, and he was also the master teacher to the apprentices. In addition to having classes taught by many of Burt's celebrity friends, the apprentices assisted behind the scenes and appeared in many of the plays, as well as their own productions before graduating.
He offered so many incredible teachers throughout the course of the years. If he had a conversation with a friend out in LA, he would say, if you want to take a break, come and teach this group of kids. They're just great. And then they would come and teach, and they had magnificent teachers. Dom did shows at the theater, and he also directed, and he also taught the apprentices. Elizabeth Taylor came, and Dolly Parton, all these incredible people.
He would put them in some of his movies, and he did it to all of his graduating class. Eventually he would use all of those kids just so they can get their union card and then go on from there. And I don't know of any school that ever did that.
Everything that I learned. He gave me my first job, which gave me my SAG card. It's all due to this man.
I mean, every time one of them gets a job, I feel like a proud father. It's a wonderful feeling.
Burt had a lot of reasons to be proud of what he achieved with the theater and the Institute. One of Burt's apprentices, Mark Fowler, went on to work with him on numerous occasions.
Bow! Right in the mouth. Okay, we'll make it Thursday then.
Years later, Mark wrote a fascinating book called Because of Burt, detailing just how instrumental he was on his life.
This guy is the most caring, sensitive, loyal man I've ever met in my life. He brings out things of people that they don't even know they have within inside of them.
These young people that come here and do what they do, and this time that I'm giving to them, I get it all back. I swear I get it back. When I'm hurting, the best way to eliminate the hurt is to go help somebody else. Just throw myself into work and just get in there and fight with them. And suddenly my problems just sort of drift away.
I hope that more people give back like he has, nurturing young kids and nurturing young talent. There are so many people who don't do that, and Burt's been doing it for over 20 years.
I love teaching. I really do. I've worked as an actor for 60 years. I must have something I could give.
Burt continued teaching and mentoring his students right up until the final days of his life. Burt followed up starting over with Rough Cut, a crime caper riddled with production issues and multiple directors at the helm.
Excuse me for mentioning it, but we're about to become a hood ornament for a truck.
A movie about a retired jewel thief who returns for one last diamond caper.
Scarlett, I missed you.
Teamed with me was my dear old friend David Niven and Leslie Ann Down, who, along with Catherine Deneuve, was one of the two most beautiful women I've ever seen in my life.
It was my homage to Cary Grant. Cary may not think so. It's the first time I ever really got to wear real pretty clothes and play a rather wealthy guy, and he's a cat birder. It's To Catch a Thief, no four-letter words, kind of classy.
Oh! Very nice of you, but
Yes,
it's quite
it is.
unnecessary.
Leslie Ann Down shines as Burt's partner, and although they had great chemistry off camera, the film failed to connect the two as well as some of his leading ladies of the past.
Leslie Ann Down, if the picture's a hit, I think will be a major motion picture star. She's a fabulous looking girl.
Don't wear a nightgown.
You don't wear anything. Oh, God. I think I have to come in and take a cold shower.
Perhaps the best thing to come from the film for Burt was David Niven, who he absolutely loved spending time with.
And David Niven, who, when we talked about going to the desert island, he would be one of the guys that I would take. Wonderful, wonderful man.
The film was originally intended to be directed by Blake Edwards, who was replaced by Don Siegel, who was then fired after the first month by producer David Merrick. Siegel and Merrick had creative differences about the ending of the film. So Peter R. Hunt replaced Siegel, but only after about a week. Hunt was also sacked, and then Siegel rehired. What a mess, and it's all up there on the big screen. A disappointing way for Burt to follow up his brilliant performance in starting over.
The work part of it was wonderful. I loved working.
Goodbye, Inspector.
Behind the scenes, fighting and squabbling and all that, I hated. But say, the end result is hopefully it'll be a good film.
When Burt met Sally Field for the filming of Smokey and the Bandit in August of 1976, their instant on-screen, off-screen connection helped make the film an all-time classic.
Does this thing move?
Oh, yeah. It was love at first sight. As soon as we got in the car, I thought, this girl is for me.
We'd known each other about 4 days at that point. It was instantaneous, 4 days felt like 4 years. You can see it in our faces. You know, we were deeply entangled. The nature of it wasn't just, you know, oh, this is a love affair. He was incredibly charming, adored at the time for being who he was, a funny, self-deprecating good old boy, a normal guy on a big ride and getting one hell of a kick out of it.
Sally and I seemed to click on many different levels. There seemed to be no limit to how much we had in common. That discovery was intoxicating.
Known for her roles as Gidget and the Flying Nun, Sally's career had started strong, but she was looking for an opportunity to expand her range. So when Burt called and offered her the female lead in Smokey, she jumped like a frog at the chance to be in a big Hollywood picture.
It was impossible for me to get a role in a film, and yet he was calling me to be in this film, and I couldn't figure out why. And then he said he always loved me in Gidget, and I thought, you loved me in Gidget?
One of the things people say about Smokey is you watch two people fall in love on the screen. And it's true. If ever the old cliche chemistry applied, I mean sexual tension was bouncing off the walls. In one scene, out of nowhere, she broke into a marvelous improvisation. We were in the car, and she put her feet on the windshield and started dancing and talking about how she always wanted to be in a play on Broadway.
But God, I was so good. You should have seen me. You'd have loved me.
She went on with the funny, open book kind of stuff that was brave and real. And that's when I realized I was falling in love.
How would you describe your relationship with Burt?
Lovers.
Oh, lovers?
Following the success of Smokey and the Bandit, Burt and Sally became Hollywood's hottest couple. The tabloids had a field day with their relationship with scandalous headlines, most of which were bullshit.
I've never been that much in love before or since. Everybody was a blur except for Sally.
We were a perfect match of flaws. We went together very well, but not necessarily for the right reasons.
That's the problem. That's always been the problem.
Both of us felt... I was bending myself into a pleasing shape, a soothing, compliant cup of warm elixir that Burt was then lured into drinking over and over until he became addicted to the seemingly unconditional love I was offering. Once he was undeniably addicted, needing a fix of me, I'd be gone. He would never know what had hit him or how to get another supply.
After working together on both The End and Hooper, Sally no longer had trouble landing great film roles. But she took Burt's advice on a part in the disappointing Beyond the Posada adventure.
It was one of those disaster pictures. I thought you needed to do another commercial film to balance it out. It was guaranteed to make money. She did it reluctantly, and she was not happy with me or her performance.
Oh, I want to get out of here.
Celeste. Celeste.
What?
She never knew the best of me. If she had, maybe we actually would have gotten married. I proposed 3 or 4 times, but she did the same to me. Each time one of us would back out, saying we wanted a deeper level of commitment at different times.
It seemed funny. Every time I wanted to get married, she didn't. Every time she wanted to get married, I didn't.
So it went back and forth like that for 4 or 5 years.
Sorry, I don't want to get married.
Terrific. That makes 2 of us.
I also remember her on another occasion saying, I would like to get married. Good, I said. I hope you find the right guy.
And I'd like to be a successfully married person. But obviously not enough.
In the fall, Sally and I became Frog and Bandit again in Smoking the Bandit II. The stunt pack sequel that would open to record-breaking business in August of 1980.
Now, what is the sequel called?
Well, right now it's called Smokey and the Bandit II, which I think took a lot of thinking to come up with that.
Universal approached Burt back in 1977 with an offer of $2 million just to agree to make a sequel to the box office smash, Smokey and the Bandit.
When the light from the beer side it shines on your wedding ring too.
Burt told the studio he would do the sequel, but only when he was ready. 3 years and 5 pictures later, Burt was ready to get back into that Trans Am.
Hi, Buford. Hello, you handsome sumbitch.
Hi, Junior.
Hi, Carrie.
Shut up, you shit.
All the main cast are back. The Snowman, Jerry Reed, of course.
If he doesn't get at least half of the money, he may become very violent.
Sally Field's Frog.
Look, Cletus, I'm a little busy right now.
Big and Little Enos Burnett.
This bullshit has got to stop.
And the great Jackie Gleason.
Hey, Daddy, look at that big, ugly alligator. That reminds me, I gotta call your mama tonight.
Plus, this time around, they're joined by the hilarious Dom DeLuise.
I was gonna take a temperature, but I need this.
Now, before Dom landed the role, Burt considered another funny man to play the part.
We have a part in Smokey 2. We're taking a pregnant elephant from Key West to the Cotton Bowl before it gives birth. And locked in with the pregnant elephant, we kidnap a gynecologist just to look after the elephant. It'd be
This
a
is what you
sensational.
have in mind for me.
Well, it'd be a great part for you because we could shoot it all right in one little room. And occasionally, you could use that glove you had.
While Carson would have been great, Dom DeLuise was probably the better choice as he steals all of his scenes, just like he did in the end.
Open, say ah. I'm not.
Too bad he spends most of his time locked up with the elephant instead of making the cast crack up in every scene.
Throughout the filming, Sally would get pissed off because we weren't doing the work. She hated that we were giggling and laughing and never saying the dialogue in the script.
I give a nice examination. Soon as she gets her nose from out of my crotch.
With a $16 million budget, Smokey 2 was a much more expensive and more polished movie.
Well, that's ridiculous.
But it was missing some of the charm of the original, and truthfully, it's not a very good film. Scenes like this made me crack up laughing. But seemed lazy and written for cheap laughs, although at times the film can find some of that old magic that helped make the original an all-time classic.
Excuse me, sir. Your ass is on fire. Bet you'll be glad to get back in Canada and stick in the snow.
This sequel looks and feels more like a studio movie. You can sense the executives at Universal could see the money pouring in.
Gentlemen, kids love that stupid Bandit movie, right? We're gonna do another one. But let's throw in a cute animal this time, maybe a monkey or an elephant. And we'll crank out a bunch of these action figures and play sets for the little bastards, right? Now, the older sumbitches, they love that Jackie Gleason guy, right? The Buford or whatever. What the hell was the name of the show he was on?
The Honeymooners?
The Honeymooners, right, of course. So let's give them more Gleason, like 3 times as much Gleason, and more Burt and Sally loving. They're loving, yeah. That chicks love that shit. So let's get to work, boys. Get the hell out here.
And that's how the film was made. Perhaps.
After we broke up, where'd you go?
Pieces.
Yeah?
One of the film's many problems was that too much of it focused on Burt and Sally's real-life relationship issues.
He loves me. He loves himself. He loves me. He loves himself.
They spend the majority of their screen time arguing, and when they're not arguing, Sally is constantly putting him down.
I've seen you with your clothes off, remember?
Of course I remember.
It ain't no big deal.
The romantic collapse between Bandit and Frog completely destroyed one of the most enjoyable on-screen pairings since Bonnie and Clyde. Although every now and then you'll see a little of that old charm break through.
You want to make this last run so you can be famous again and be the old bandit, come driving in there and be everybody's hero.
But for the majority of the movie, it simply looks like she didn't even want to be there.
My one and only reason for being here is money, M-O-N-E-Y, so let's get started whipping your ass into shape.
She still loves me.
Through it all, Sally and I had perhaps the most heated affair of our relationship. By the time the picture was finished, she seemed to be working as hard as possible to hate my guts.
Where you going?
New York.
Why?
Because you're not there.
What's the matter with you?
What's the matter with you?
When Burt and Sally are on screen, the laughs are few and far between.
You sure didn't waste much time dilly-dallying around with another bunch of people, did you, once we broke up?
Well, you were dilly-dallying around when we were still together.
Hey.
At this point, their relationship was falling apart. Burt thought it would be a great idea for Sally to actually write their breakup scene herself.
Sally wrote it because our relationship was over, and I thought she got a lot of stuff she wants to say. Why not do it on film? And boy, did she ever.
You're a famed junkie. They might as well lock you up and give you intravenous feedings of People magazine and National Enquirer headlines. And if you're a real good boy, they'll give you an occasional Tonight Show enema.
Wow.
But Sally was remarkable. Clearly the lines she'd written were about us.
I'm not having any fun right now.
Neither am I.
Everything she wanted to say for a long, long time. And some things she'd already said in private.
The Bandit is not as likable this time around. His ego is out of control as his failed attempt as a folk hero falls to pieces.
Let me tell you something. I'm practically an American folk hero. I mean, you should ask some of my fans. To know me is to love me.
You know, I just made a correction on my list.
Yeah?
You're in the top 2 assholes.
Daddy, I got a pee-pee.
Swallow it, I'm busy.
Jackie Gleason, as always, seems to be having all the fun in this one.
Get out of there, you sumbitch! Or you gonna have a penalty flag hanging out of your ass!
An argument could be made that Buford T. Justice is the funniest character in this movie.
Howdy? Swamp fever! Swamp fever? Damned if I know where it is. I knew around here myself.
Actually, no argument needed.
Are you all right, Junior? Yeah. You would be, you shit.
Now, this film wouldn't be complete without a great new song by Jerry Reed, who broke the mold with his timeless classic, Eastbound and Down.
Eastbound and down, load it up and fuck it.
This go-around, the Snowman brings the somewhat less memorable Texas Bound and Flying.
Well, if I can keep it on the ground when I put that hammer down.
But it still kicks ass.
Doc, I thought I loved him too much to do that.
Now, with a much bigger budget, director Hal Needham seemed to pour most of his money into elaborate and mostly forgettable stunts.
Daddy, look out! Oh boy, the roller coaster.
At Lakewood Park in Atlanta, Georgia, Hal was able to blow up one of the oldest standing wooden roller coasters in the country.
Everybody ready?
Here we see Burt and Sally showing Hal some lines they came up with for the shoot.
Damn, I just love amusement parks.
You are an amusement park.
With cameras strapped to the car, Bandit and Frog finish their scene and let the stunt doubles take over for the more dangerous action sequences under the coaster.
Damn, I love amusement parks.
You are an amusement park.
Yeah.
If that one's good, we'll go down and make the jump next, okay?
Sections of the coaster were cut in half and explosives lodged into over 900 holes throughout the base. Meanwhile, it was time to celebrate Burt's 44th birthday on this 11th day of February.
Give you zits just cutting that one.
Finally, after a few more close-ups of Burt and Sally in the car, it was time to light up the coaster.
Okay, ready? All right, here we go. The owner of this mess.
Some of the scenes were shot at the Burt Reynolds Horse Ranch in Jupiter, Florida, including the training montage, the Gator Motel right behind me. Hey, how you doing? And the Everglades gas station.
Hey, anybody in that crapper?
It's all right, keep it rolling. This is good stuff.
Yeah, I like this.
Now, the best thing to come out of Smokey 2 was starting the long tradition of the end credit outtakes.
Oh, Jesus, I'm missing my wife. It's so bad.
San Diego, which in German means a whale's vagina.
A popular trend that continues in films and television to this day.
Are you gonna have a gag reel on this like Smokey and the Bandit?
We do get the giggles immediately.
I'm sorry.
Okay, come on.
We were the first people.
I'll just say that one.
I said, you know what, Al, the outtakes are better than this movie.
That he needs to do this job for me. I forgot the line.
We should release these outtakes, forget the movie.
Charlie, you're pushing the truck to Georgia.
And the nice thing about it is the characters' relationship, the audience could see it was the same.
It's all shit. Let's pin the first one.
It was still funny, still silly.
Do you want him when we got him down here?
Smokey and the Bandit 2 opened at #1 at the box office, knocking The Empire Strikes Back from the top spot. At the time, Smokey 2 was the biggest opening week in film history. An incredible achievement in 1980 for the world's #1 box office champion. The critics hated the film, and in particular, Hal Needham's directing.
It's time for a Siskel and Ebert Burt Reynolds shitty film review.
He had 50 squad cars running into 50 semi-trailer trucks, and it was not funny. It was just a gargantuan, dumb event.
Are Siskel and Ebert still alive? Are they alive?
They do late-night television.
I think they're dead, but nobody's told them.
And that's the end of this Siskel and Ebert Burt Reynolds shitty film review.
Another problem with this sequel was lazy writing that often just reuses lines from the first film that now fall flat in this second story.
There ain't no way that you could come from my loins.
In response to harsh reviews, Hal decided to take out a full-page ad in Variety, depicting himself sitting on a wheelbarrow full of cash.
Look at that! Do you realize we can start a bank?
Despite the film's success, Burt was not happy with this sequel at all. He said, "They were making it for the money and we were whores too. We played along and I wish we hadn't."
What a putz.
Being the man that he is, the image that he has in the business, when he's involved with a woman and anything goes wrong, the public looks at him, especially when the woman looks like me, you know.
After the filming for Smokey 2 wrapped, their relationship came to a bitter end.
And the winner is Sally Field.
While Sally was accepting her Oscar for her role in Norma Ray, Burt, who was watching from home, was hurt to see her lash out at him.
Asked what she thought while running down the aisle to collect her award. She said, Burt Reynolds, Burt Reynolds. I didn't cry,
I'm going to be the one to cry tonight, I'll tell you right now.
but I felt as if I'd been run over by a truck. I have no doubt why the breakup was so bitter and painful.
Get out of my house! Just get out of my house!
Because we both were so passionate and both so deeply in love.
Sometimes just two people, no matter how much you like each other, it isn't enough to have a marriage or a long-lasting relationship on.
The two tried to reconnect a few times over the following years, but they were never able to bring back the spark that made them so inseparable. Through the years, Burt only had wonderful things to say about Sally.
Giant talent, super lady. I have nothing bad to say about her, only good things. We'll be here 10 hours. One of the best actresses I've ever in my life been in front of and behind.
Boy, ass was wiggling too.
I think if you were going to go across the desert in a covered wagon and you could only take two women, she'd be one of them. She was the love of my life. I really, to this day, think she's the most special woman I've ever dated.
Unfortunately, Sally had no issues poking fun at Burt in their years together.
Smokey and the Bandit was a groundbreaking film. Lord knows without it there could never have been a Cannonball Run.
Later, when I was sick and under fire, Sally did a Playboy interview. And they asked her whether I had AIDS, and she said she didn't know when she should have said, "That's ridiculous, that's nothing to those rumors." Then in the same answer, she said, "There'd always been something going on around Burt." What the hell was that supposed to mean? I was shocked, and I still don't know what possessed her to say it.
If I hurt you, I'm really sorry. I was very young.
Not anymore, babe.
In 1991, Sally made the film Soap Dish with Kevin Kline, who may look a little familiar to you as he wasn't really the first choice to play the role.
You realize what a terrible mistake it was, throwing me out of your life 110 years ago.
You're exactly the same, even for an actor. You're an egomaniac.
Burt loved the script and thought the part was written perfectly for him. But most of all, this would have paid him his old salary for the first time in many years.
Oh!
Too bad Lonnie Anderson told him all of Hollywood would be laughing at her if he played the role, forcing Burt to turn down another fantastic opportunity.
Goddamn son of a bitch!
Perhaps these dinner theater insults were added after Burt turned down the role.
What I did was horrible.
No. Dinner theater is horrible.
Towards the end of his life, he seemed to be constantly trying to get her attention in interviews.
I always wondered, when I think about the women in your life, who would you consider the love of your life?
I would say Sally.
You could tell that he was hurting inside and really wanted to reconnect with her. Sadly, Sally's autobiography, In Pieces, was released at the time of Burt's death, detailing the difficult years she spent with him.
I would feel him kind of reach out to me via the press.
While promoting the book, you could see that she couldn't release the past and just embrace the good times. dreams.
He called you the love of his life. Yeah.
Well, in
He
retrospect.
passed away. In retrospect.
7:30 p.m. we await the arrival of the two fighters, Leonard and Hearns. Celebrities everywhere. Richard Pryor and Burt Reynolds, straight from the Cannonball Run.
I always said my success was a result of simply working hard at making it look easy. But the fun I had also came through. How else do you explain the appeal of a dopey picture like Cannonball Run?
When Hal Needham first approached Burt about making the Cannonball Run, he wasn't interested. At this point in his career, Burt had done about all he can do behind the wheel of a fast car.
Could get a black Trans Am. Nah, that's been done.
Without Burt, Hal Needham and Longest Yard producer Al Ruddy were having difficulty getting the film off the ground.
Gentlemen, we got this Cannonball script to make. And we got to fill this piece of shit with all kinds of big stars. You got any suggestions? Elvis Presley?
He's dead, sir.
Dead? All right, he's too fat anyway. He probably won't fit in that sports car.
We were working desperately to try to cast the movie. To no avail, frankly, the script was not up to Gone with the Wind standards.
How about that Bandit fella? Bernie something.
Bernie Redhands?
Bernie Redheads, yeah. The chicks love that handsome bastard.
Oh, he won't do another car chase picture, sir. He wants to win an Oscar.
Horse shit. Nobody's giving him an Oscar. Nobody wants to see him do that sappy shit. He's gonna do this film because people like to see him smile and being chased by the police. Get Ruddy on the phone. We'll throw enough cash at this sumbitch, he'll do our film. We'll give him $5 million.
I'm ready.
I think that anyone who's paid $5 million to do anything, it's immoral.
I'd like to kick his ass just once.
The only thing I think that's more immoral than that is to turn it down.
After we did a couple of car movies, he said, I'm never again going to drive a car over 35 miles an hour, but the $5 million changed his mind.
This formula had been tried several times before with films like The Gumball Rally, Death Race 2000, and even Cannonball starring David Carradine. But this new Cannonball was more like a live-action version of the cartoon Wacky Races.
Penelope pit stop in number 5.
Cannonball Run was based on a series of real races started by Brock Yates of Car and Driver magazine.
This is Brock Yates. He's really ran the original Cannonballs.
Yates and Hal Needham entered the race in 1979 and drove the ambulance scene in the movie.
He's the nut that I drove the ambulance with.
They actually had a doctor on board and Yates' wife Pamela as a patient.
That van would outrun anything out there, including the Ferrari.
Cannonball Run had a relatively small budget of $15 million, 5 of which went to Burt, whose scenes were shot first. They started shooting in Atlanta, moved to Las Vegas, and then on to Los Angeles to shoot Burt's final scenes. Then the cast had to go back to Atlanta and shoot the rest of the scenes not involving Burt.
Once the movie got going with Burt, a lot of guys came on.
The stellar supporting cast included the great Roger Moore.
I must warn you, I'm Roger Moore.
Farrah Fawcett.
Gangbang or something like that.
A gangbang?
Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr.
You, Shorty, where'd you get all that jewelry?
Why do you call me Shorty? Because you're small.
Adrienne Barbeau.
I'll take care of this one.
Valerie Perrine, who played in Superman the movie.
I don't suppose you have a driver's license tucked down in there somewhere, do you?
Jamie Farr.
When I called you, I was doing 140 miles an hour.
Jackie Chan in his first movie made in the United States. Terry Bradshaw and Mel Tillis.
What concerns me, do we have enough ice for all this beer? Plenty.
George Firth, who had previously starred with Burt in Hooper.
This is a terrific turnout for the meeting.
And of course, Burt's close friend, Dom DeLuise.
I am Captain Chaos, and this is my faithful companion, Cato.
This is Victor Prinzi, my executive assistant.
Hi.
Dom's character, Victor Prinzi, was named after his friend and former college football teammate at Florida State University.
That's the end of our great moments for the year, Victor. I had a good time. I'll see you again next year.
You can see Burt wearing an FSU cap early in the movie.
We're out of beer, Victor.
The great Roger Moore was a huge star at the time, having taken over the role of James Bond from Sean Connery. This picture was released the same year as For Your Eyes Only, and Moore was so impressed with Needham's quick way of shooting, he suggested him to direct the next James Bond movie.
And when I came back from having made this, and I spoke with Harry and Cubby, and I said, this is a great way of making a movie. You have all these cameras, and so you only do one take. They looked at me as I was out of my mind.
I had a meeting with Broccoli about maybe directing one of the Bond films, and when I walked in, the first thing he said is, I probably should sue you for a Cannonball.
The legendary Bond producer would end up putting a clause in Roger's contracts, preventing him from spoofing James Bond again in the future.
Kindly resist the temptation and keep the media coverage to a minimum.
But a really funny character. A good actor. He was a tremendous stuntman before he was an actor. And a friendship that I've kept up over the years.
Can you come in here? You're a man.
Farrah Fawcett and I stirred up a storm of gossip in the tabloids. So nothing happened until after those stories appeared. Nothing like that lasts on a movie set, even when it's someone as wonderful as Farrah.
Let me guess. Melissa.
No.
Juliet. Betty?
No.
I'll just call you Beauty, okay?
That's nice.
Farrah Fawcett was an incredibly popular sex symbol at the time, best known for her role as Jill Monroe in the first season of Charlie's Angels. Her iconic red swimsuit poster sold 6 million copies in its first year of print. Not only did Boogie Nights' Dirk Diggler have the poster on his wall, but a young Gator McKlusky had one as well.
Terrific gal. Good sense of humor. Great athlete. Really gutty.
It was really a lot of fun. So much fun, we shouldn't have been paid.
Sammy was the first one I wanted. I thought, as the anti-Dom, skinny and black instead of portly and Italian, but just as gifted.
We want to give you our blessings!
I loved Dean. He was so damn funny and likable. It was a party whenever he was around.
Oh, I gotta bless her.
Burt made a lot of new friends on the film, but also brought back some of his old buddies from the past, including the great Mel Tillis.
He put me in a lot of his movies, cameos. And I said, well, when I ever get a movie that I have some authority in, I'm going to ask him. And I asked him, and he did. He came, and he said, well, I hate cameos, Mel. He said, I'm going to rewrite this. And he put himself in there about 5 minutes and didn't charge us a dime. Take left. Oh, hell. Take a left.
Needham and Ruddy liked the chemistry of Teri Bradshaw and Mel Tillis so much that they tried to sell a pilot to ABC featuring their characters.
I can't see shit, can you?
It's one of those Hal Needham pictures that, like Chinese food, it's wonderful while you're eating it, and 2 hours after you see the film, you want to go see another movie.
My particular line of work, I seldom need more than this.
I think it's as funny or funnier than Smokey.
Victor!
It's just great fun. Nobody's buying any tuxedos for the awards.
Oh, shit. We got a Smokey on our tail.
Burt's little buddy, Alfie Wise, has a small role listed in the credits as Batman.
There's something else of yours that I want.
Easy Rider's Peter Fonda makes an appearance as well, but it's Burt Convy who has the motorcycle in this, his final film role.
Before I open this, don't get your hopes up too high. I was pressed for time.
The hilarious Jack Elam steals all of his scenes as the ambulance doctor, specializing in proctology.
Is that good to drink?
I don't know, I never tried it.
When we made Cannonball Run, CGI didn't exist, so everything was done for real.
How far is it to the hospital? Oh, about 10 miles.
Needham has a quick cameo in the film, as does producer Al Ruddy.
I'm a pepper, you're a pepper, he's a pepper, she's a pepper.
We were actually one of the first movies that exploited product tie-in to the extent we did.
How about a beer?
And we generated about $2.5–3 million in co-op ads. We had a number of advertisers
that were glad to get on board.
Wouldn't you like to be a pepper?
Will you get in here?
Okay, here you go.
This guy you see right here was Burt's stand-in on the movie.
Are you kidding?
James C. Lewis was one of Burt's students from the theater.
He's totally changed my life. He gave me something to live for. He gave me something to think about tomorrow.
You're so macho.
What's this?
I would take those rosary bleeds and stuff them up your nose. These bleeds? Those bleeds here.
You gonna take these and shove them up?
I'd take these bleeds here.
Oh, once again they ended the film with hilarious outtakes.
Where is it gonna sit?
After seeing the film outtakes, Jackie Chan would start adding them to many of his films from this point on.
I like the one with hairy woman. What's wrong with you? I don't know. Burt Reynolds teach me that.
We're very close.
Dom DeLuise was a loyal friend, and God, did he make me laugh.
I don't care. Stop laughing.
Sometimes so hard I couldn't stand up, but I could make him laugh too. So both of us together in front of a camera was a catastrophe. When he got the giggles, I got the giggles, and vice versa. We ruined take after take until the director would give up and call it a wrap. We never did it on purpose. We liked each other so much that it was easy to do something silly and set us off.
It's a living.
If you had this movie out today, it'd be just as successful.
For years, there's been rumors of another sequel or remake, but if that ever happens, I'd expect the tone to be very different. The women in this film are mostly viewed as sex objects. There are some pretty racist jokes.
Goddamn camel jockey.
That you and Chocolate Monk did for us back in Ohio.
You're too Jewish. The chocolate monk.
No more, Captain Chaos!
Victor's split personality is pretty much played for laughs, and Farrah Fawcett's character is basically abducted.
This is not a joke anymore. I'm being kidnapped.
Well, you can call it kidnapping if you want to be rude.
As usual, with Burt appearing in a Hal Needham movie, most of the critics bash the Cannonball Run.
It's time for a Siskel and Ebert Burt Reynolds shitty film review.
A crashing bore. Unbelievably bad. No respect for the audience. They felt, if we have a good time, that's all that counts.
The fat guy and the skinny guy. I never got their names because I didn't care.
Siskel and Ebert hated Cannonball so much that they put it on their Dogs of the Year list.
A miserable Burt Reynolds chase picture. The film was filled with old performers reworking tired old gags. It's not funny. It has to be a plot. There have to be characters.
In fact, if they don't like me, they have no taste.
And that's the end of this Siskel and Ebert Burt Reynolds shitty film review.
Although criticized for not tackling heavier material, I had the notion that more often than not, people like going to the movies to forget their problems rather than be reminded of life's biggest issues.
The Cannonball Run premiered on June 19th with some serious competition. Opening that same day in the top spot was the highly anticipated sequel, Superman 2. Cannonball finished in second place ahead of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
You hope that if you have a good enough time that the audience will too, which I think is probably the secret to Cannonball and Smokey and the Bandit.
Another enormous success for Burt, cementing his place as the king of car chase movies, whether he liked it or not.
I mean, we were having such a good time that nobody quite listened to the words.
I could be very patient with those patients.
If you listen to those words, you'd throw up, you know? They're having such a good time, everybody's laughing so much that the audience starts having as good a time as the actors, and that's the secret to those films being successful. I think that's the reason why.
Dun, dun, dun. And there you have it. Another chapter in the historic career of Burt Reynolds. I want to thank so many of you for taking the time to write the amazing comments that have helped drive the direction of these in-depth documentaries. I read each and every one of these and do my best to reply to your questions and comments. Here's an example of how impactful your comments can be. This fine gentleman, who goes by the name White Knight Cutlass, asked, what scene was cut from Deliverance? Is there any footage of it? Well, that's a great question. So after giving it some thought, I decided to do a little research and try to track down the director, John Boorman, who would certainly know the answer. Honestly, I didn't even know if he was alive. But I did find a production company in Dublin, Ireland that was at one time associated with John, and I sent an email through their contact page with my question, asking that maybe they could forward it to Mr. Boorman. The next morning, I woke up to find an email from the legendary director of Deliverance, Point Blank, Excalibur, Hope and Glory. This Oscar-nominated director took the time to write me a long, in-depth response to my question. I even followed up with another handful of questions, and again, he took the time to respond. It goes to show you that it can never hurt to ask. And I will do so more often in the future, thanks to the comment from one of you out there. As for Mr. Borman's emails, I can't share all of that with you, but I will say that John explained that his method of working was to shoot only the scenes that he was going to include in the film. He shot in sequence, and none of Burt's scenes were cut. When I followed up with these images showing scenes that were not in the film, he pointed out that they were publicity shots and he was not present for them. So there were no deleted scenes. He went on to say that he was very fond of Burt and that Burt was complex and insecure and very talented. Mr. Borman ended by confirming what many of us knew, that Deliverance was responsible for him being appreciated as a serious actor. John offered him the starring role in Zardoz, but Burt got sick and had to withdraw, and John replaced him with Sean Connery. So it was such a huge honor to have this exchange with perhaps the most important filmmaker in Burt's long career. Now, as I dig deeper into the life of Burt Reynolds, there are often three sides to some of the stories uncovered in his past. The Burt Reynolds story will always put our buddy's words and versions of his stories first. While it's interesting to hear alternate takes on things, this documentary takes its direction from his books and words spoken by the man himself. So past chapters may seem to have certain occasional inaccuracies, but this is not an opinion piece. This is the Burt Reynolds story. Now stay tuned for Chapter 6 as we cover one of my favorite films, Sharky's Machine, along with the best little whorehouse in Texas and a few other defining moments in Burt's long and distinguished career. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Tell your friends about us, as it really helps to bring the channel to more folks like you and me who want to honor the great legacy of the most amazing Burt Reynolds, who we love. And that's it for now. We got a race to lose. See you at the finish line. Gator out. Bye! Watch for new movie reviews and documentary series. Don't forget to subscribe and click on that bell so you know when new reviews arrive.